At a recent U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing on the illicit fentanyl trade, lawmakers and law enforcement officials used the word cartel some 90 times.
Cartels that are flooding the United States with fentanyl. The drug cartels in Mexico are out of control.
By the time the 2-hour hearing was over, it was as if that cartel was everywhere. From the Chinese factories where fentanyl and fentanyl precursor chemicals are manufactured, to the U.S. suburbs where it's sold, very often laced into counterfeit pharmaceutical pills and peddled over social media. But is this an accurate depiction of how the trafficking of fentanyl really works? And more importantly, does this image of an omnipresent criminal syndicate help U.S. lawmakers and law enforcement slow a trade that leads to tens of thousands of drug overdose deaths per year in the U.S.? Over our 5 years of researching the fentanyl trade, dozens of law enforcement and experts on crime have described this trade not so much as a cartel, but as a complex, multi-layered criminal network. This network includes legal companies that form part of the multi-billion-dollar worldwide chemical industry that make the necessary chemicals to synthesize the fentanyl, as well as the fentanyl itself. It includes traders and brokers who import the fentanyl and the chemicals to Mexico, and the cooks who synthesize it or lace it into the counterfeit pills. Most of this network has little or no direct contact with the cartels. These cartels, namely the Sinaloa cartel and the Jalisco cartel, specialize in obtaining large amounts of the ingredients in pure fentanyl, then moving the fentanyl across the U.S. border in bulk, for which they charge a premium. Then they sell the fentanyl to the next part of the chain, which fans out to distribution points across the U.S., again with little connection to the cartels. Of course, that's not the image you get from listening to U.S. lawmakers. The result is a distorted vision of the criminal operations, one that leaves the impression that by concentrating the government's limited resources on the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels, the problem will be solved. But fentanyl, even more than previous drugs, is governed by the laws of economics. The ingredients to make it are provided by a plethora of companies and actors across the globe that have no harvest season and are moving trace amounts of these ingredients and the final product via regular mail, then crossing the border in backpacks and personal vehicles. To mitigate this problem, it's important to have a more realistic map of the criminal networks. But the wanton use of the word cartel by U.S. officials is not getting us any closer. Read our analysis of cartel rhetoric at insightcrime.org.